My name is Claire Bennett. I'm 34 years old, and I live in a quiet town outside Seattle with my husband, Adrian, and our 8-year-old daughter, Sophie. People often tell me I have a perfect life. They see our family photos and smile, saying, "You're so lucky." I always smile back, but I never tell them the truth. The hardest part of my life wasn't a single argument or one terrible day. It was slowly believing I would never be good enough for the man I loved. When Adrian and I met, life felt simple. We dreamed about buying a small home, raising children, and growing old together. He made me laugh until my stomach hurt, and he always found a way to brighten difficult days. On our wedding day, he held my hands and whispered, "I'll never stop choosing you." I believed every word. The first years of our marriage were happy. Then Adrian earned a promotion. His workload increased, and he came home exhausted almost every evening. I understood the pressure he was under, so I tried to make life easier. I reduced my hours at the local library, kept the house running, cooked dinner every night, and spent my afternoons helping Sophie with school. I hoped he would notice my effort. Instead, he noticed every little mistake. The soup needs more salt. You forgot to fold the laundry. You used to dress better. They're only small things, I told myself. He's just tired. But the comments never stopped. Without realizing it, I began apologizing for everything. If dinner was late, I apologized. If the house looked messy, I apologized. Even when I did nothing wrong, the words came out automatically. "I'm sorry." One Saturday morning, I stood in front of the bedroom mirror before Sophie's school concert. I tried on several dresses before asking, "Which one looks best?" Adrian barely looked away from his phone. "The blue one, I guess." "You don't sound sure." He shrugged. "None of them really stand out." He returned to his screen as if the conversation had ended. I quietly hung the dresses back in the closet. At the concert, I watched other couples cheering together while Adrian answered work emails beside me. I wanted to ask him to put the phone away, but I stayed silent. That had become my habit. Stay quiet. Don't argue. Don't make things worse. That night, after Sophie fell asleep, I sat alone in the kitchen holding a cold cup of tea. My reflection stared back at me through the dark window. For the first time, I whispered something that frightened me. Maybe I'm the problem. After that, I stopped doing little things for myself. Whenever I saw a dress I liked, I put it back on the shelf. Every extra dollar, every extra hour, every bit of energy went toward everyone else. I slowly disappeared from my own life. A few weeks later, my best friend Nora Collins invited me to lunch. She studied my face for a long moment before speaking. "You look exhausted, Claire." "I'm just busy," I replied with a smile. Nora gently shook her head. "No. You look like someone who has forgotten how to be happy." Her words stayed with me long after lunch ended. A few days later, Adrian came home stressed from work. I served his favorite pasta, hoping it might lift his mood. He took one bite. "Did you forget the garlic?" I used the same recipe. It tastes different. I'm sorry. He sighed. You apologize too much. I looked at him quietly. You've given me a reason to. For a moment, I thought he finally understood. Instead, he stood, placed his plate in the sink, and walked upstairs without another word. I remained alone at the table, wondering how two people could sit in the same house yet feel worlds apart. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about Adrian's words. The next morning, I focused on Sophie, pretending everything was normal. A few days later, she came home unusually quiet. While we baked cookies together, she finally whispered, "A boy at school said my drawing wasn't pretty." I hugged her and smiled gently. One person's opinion never decides your worth. She nodded, but after a long pause she asked, "Then why do you always look sad when Dad says things about you?" I froze. That evening, Sophie showed us another family drawing. Adrian stood tall. She stood beside him. I was much smaller in the corner. "Why did you draw me so little?" I asked. She looked down. "Because you're always trying not to bother anyone." Her innocent answer broke my heart. Later that night, after I tucked her into bed, she whispered one more question. "Mom, if you're never good enough for Dad, how will I know if I'm good enough one day?" Tears filled my eyes. I walked downstairs where Adrian was watching television. "We need to talk." For the first time in years, I spoke without apologizing. "I've spent years believing I wasn't enough," I said. "Now our daughter is starting to believe the same thing about herself." Adrian's face turned pale. "I never wanted that," he whispered. "I know," I replied. "But your words taught her something neither of us wanted." He sat in silence before quietly saying, "I'm sorry. I thought I was pushing you to be better. I never realized I was making you feel smaller." The next day, I accepted a part-time job at the library. It wasn't about money. It was about finding myself again. Over the following weeks, Adrian began listening instead of criticizing. He even asked me to join him in marriage counseling because he didn't want to lose our family. Months later, Sophie proudly handed me another drawing. This time, all three of us stood side by side. "I made everyone the same size," she said. I smiled through tears and hugged her tightly. Looking back, I realized something important. Real love never asks you to shrink so someone else can shine. The people who truly love you help you become stronger, not smaller. And the day I believed in my own worth was the day I finally found myself again.